We are so lucky to be joined right now by Connecticut's Governor, Dannel Malloy. Governor, good to have you here.
Great to be here.
So let me just ask you, I'm going to dive right in here.
Sure.
Let me ask you about this rough start, as you put it off camera, to day one of your convention.
Well, I mean, first of all, I know Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She did the right thing. She wanted to separate herself from what was going on later in the day, and she did that. There's a couple of tales here. Number one, don't send emails, using the company system if it's not a company-related thing. Another story is how disruptive these kinds of disclosures can be. But I think we're through it. I think the first hour and a half allowed some people to blow off some steam. I mean, it was 100 degrees out there today, so they came in pretty wound up.
And yet, Governor, we saw a very fervent protest outside, albeit in that heat. Something really that seemed to match anything that we saw a week ago in Cleveland. These are fervent supporters of Bernie Sanders who came out, and while not dancing on the grave of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, he did acknowledge in the last 2 days, look, I've been saying this for months. It seems as though there was confirmation.
Well, I mean,
rigged system that we've heard so much about.
I disagree with that, but clearly, no one should be surprised that Democrats have a personal view about who they were supporting, particularly going back to over a year from where we are today. I think this was a great contest. I think Bernie Sanders did a marvelous job of bringing back people to our party, in getting a bunch of people excited about this election. He's doing a great job in informing people what the threat is of a Trump presidency, because it would be a disaster. You saw labor leaders say that. You've seen civil rights leaders say that. You've seen people like me who are very much invested in criminal justice reform say that. So let's get through being upset with one another to make sure that we elect a Democratic president. And in former governor, now Senator Kane, somebody who's also served as a mayor. We're talking about a very experienced ticket that's been put together here.
You say that perhaps they've talked themselves down, but even today, when Bernie Sanders rallied his own delegates and he mentioned the need to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine to stop a Donald Trump presidency, he was almost booed off his own stage.
Yeah, so what does that tell you? I mean, it tells you that people needed to blow off some steam, I suppose.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent listen, I think people are upset and their candidate is lost and they don't like the way the process is played out. But if you survey those people who might have booed their own candidate and ask them, do they really want to see Donald Trump get elected? What percentage do you think it is? 2%? 3%?
So what does Bernie Sanders need to tell these people tonight?
I mean, I think that he needs to, remind them of why they like Bernie Sanders and that this is the most progressive platform that has ever been passed by any party. And I'm not saying that because, in all likelihood, every, except the Republicans, but every Democratic platform is probably a little more progressive than the one before. But if you look at the amount of change in the last 4 years, from the positions we took previously, the positions we've taken now, about pay equity, about the minimum wage, about the expansion of health care, and even looking at other ways to expand it outside what has traditionally been thought about. If you think about criminal justice reform, there are sections in this platform about Native Americans that never would have been passed before. We wouldn't have had those discussions. This is a progressive document that represents the best progressive ideas of the people who support Secretary Clinton, the best progressive ideas of the people who support Bernie Sanders, and this is a document around which we can get together. If you noticed, there was a fight about rules. There wasn't a fight about the platform.
Governor, let me ask you this. Some have said this anger, though, has been building among Senator Sanders supporters. Do you think both Senator Sanders and Hillary Clinton have done enough to bridge the divides between their two camps leading up to this?
Well, I don't know whether they've done enough, but they've done a lot. I mean, I worked with, I was a Hillary Clinton supporter, full disclosure, right? Have been for a long time. But I worked on as the co-chair of the platform committee. Not only did I work with the Sanders people, I got high praise from the Sanders people for the work that we did together to make sure that we got a very progressive document that was passed, and again, the most progressive document that's ever been passed by any party at a convention. So this is, listen, as compared to the Republican platform, I mean, parts of that could have been written 200 years ago. Another section could have been written 100 years ago. It ignores women's needs. It would deny them health care. It ignores criminal justice reform. It doesn't talk about increasing the minimum wage. wage. It wants to do away with health care for millions and millions and millions of Americans. These two parties are further apart than they've ever been, but the way that Donald Trump tries to divide people so that he might win an election kind of hides that, I suppose is a better term. It hides what he is doing. And I called him out. He's a bully. That's what he is. And Mike Pence, he's a bully.
But it seems to be resonating with the voters. Donald Trump received more votes in a Republican primary than ever before. I wonder, what does it say about the electorate that he is reflecting?
I think scary thoughts. I mean, if you listen to his address, that's not the America I'm living in. He talks about crime being rampant. Connecticut is now experiencing the lowest crime in 48 years. He talks about a dark America riddled with crime and terrorism. New York City has the lowest crime it's had since the early 1960s. He talks about people being disengaged. Young people are more engaged in the process than they've ever been. But if you listen to him and you accept what he says as truth, which is really a serious problem, then you might go his way. And that's what he's trying to do. And I think what we're trying to do as Democrats is remind people, yeah, progress is slow, but progress is being made. Turning back the clock is not the way to go.
Governor, what do you hope the takeaway is on night one of the Democratic convention for people at home that are not necessarily paying as close attention to the political process?
If you listen right now, no one's booing. If you listen right now, Democrats are listening to the same speaker. They're applauding the same lines. Yes, we may have started somewhat divided, but we're not inviting Senator Cruz to come and give a 25-minute address where he doesn't endorse a candidate. We're not talking about a party that is in any way divided, the likes of which, Governor Kasich wouldn't even go to the convention. None of the former Bush presidents would go to the convention. People skip that convention because they don't want to be tarnished by the hatred, by the xenophobic language. They don't want this idea that we're going to register Muslims. So maybe we should register, Irish Catholics. Maybe we should register other folks as well.
I want to get you out of here on this one very quickly. Is Connecticut a swing state?
This is what I think. I think Donald Trump should spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to win Connecticut. That's what I think.
All right. Connecticut Governor Dannel Malloy. Really
Thanks.
Appreciate the time.
Good to be with you.